Well, first of all, we know Mike Calvey for a very long time and believe he's a very professional, ethical person. Baring Vostok is a very established fund, very professional fund, and we understand there are some disputes on his personal investments that he's made in one of the Russian banks. I was very clear that I'm willing to vouch for him, and so that he's, less restrained in, his activities now. And we believe, obviously, we don't know the specific allegations, we don't know the specific arguments about the case, but we hope that it's a very transparent process that will follow. Mike said today that he believes in the Russian judge system, legal system. He believed, and he said specifically that they had a number of cases in legal courts of Russia, and they succeeded in most of them, so he believes in Russian legal system. So we need to make sure the system works. But obviously, we support Mike Calvey, and we believe that, hopefully, this is a misunderstanding that will be resolved.
And when you take a step back and look at some of the more high-profile cases, kind of like this one that we've seen in the last year or so, we've seen obviously Carlos Ghosn as well, facing charges in Japan. None of this really sits well when you're sitting looking to invest in a country that you might not be able to get yourself or your money and investments out.
Yeah, well, I think first of all, we'll continue to invest well with our partners. So we invested $5 billion in the Russian economy last year. We have very strong partnerships in Asia and Middle East, and that will continue. And it's very important that we continue working with the U.S. business community. Just yesterday, we signed an agreement with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And actually, lots of U.S. businesses announced new projects in Russia last year. So we don't want, an isolated case to affect the whole cooperation. Definitely, U.S.-Russia relationship at a very low point right now, and only through dialogue and only through, good discussions that can be moved to a better position.
Walk me through the disconnect there, because we're sitting here at the Munich Security Conference. There are a lot of conversations about the transatlantic alliance, about what's happening between Eastern Europe in particular and Russia today. But the disconnect is there between what the business community looks to achieve and obviously what the political leaders are saying.
Yeah, well, definitely, and we are working quite a bit with European businesses. Today we signed an important agreement with Siemens. We signed 6 agreements with European businesses yesterday during Sochi Investment Forum. So we definitely believe that business wants cooperation to continue. Our assessment is that Europe lost 160 billion euros as a result of sanctions and counter-sanctions against Russia. And we do hope that this is at some point put behind us. And there is an actual cost to the U.S. economy of having more and more sanctions. We just looked at the ownership of U.S. government debt by foreign companies and foreign governments is reduced from 47% to 40% in the last 3 years. That's $1.3 trillion of excess debt that foreigners are not buying in the U.S. The percentage of transaction in dollar decreased from 44% 3 years ago to less than 40% now. So people are transacting less in dollar. So we believe there is actual undermining of dollar-dominated economy that is happening because U.S. uses sanctions a lot. And it's not only Russia, but China and many other nations fear that this could affect them, and they reduce their holding of dollar securities and their transactions in dollar.
And for your fund specifically, you're saying that the political landscape, the geopolitical landscape, is not going to keep you from investing?
No, we'll definitely continue. We have great partnerships in Asia, with Middle East, with Europe. We are not political. We have good returns. Our returns are more than 15% a year in dollars. And we continue to persevere, and we invest in good Russian growing companies. We employ lots of young Russians who are good people, who want to do professional work, and we'll continue to do our investments.